2-3 hours, and I would literally sit there. And looking back on it, sometimes like I was throwing the ball all the way to the left and right, but she would always move it so I could make it. And every time I made it, she would tell me how good I was and how proud of me she was. And if I wasn't in the NBA, she would support me, in the same way. The love and support of, your family can carry you to, wherever you want to go. In the back of my mind, I always knew I had those two help and support, and that I could do anything.
This is an interview with Jayson Tatum, and he discusses how his mother manages all his finances for him. We're gonna watch the video. I'm gonna give my reaction.
In the world that I wanted to.
Your mom today plays what role in your business?
My mom is like the overseer, right? Everything goes through her.
A good overseer too.
The best, because like there's nobody more trustworthy than my mom. She is over everything that has to do with Jayson Tatum.
It's not efficient for 7 different people to be trying to get in contact with Jayson. So that all goes through me, and then I call him. I see him every day. He spends most of the time in my house, and then I let him know.
Man, it's good that he has somebody on his team that genuinely cares about him. You see so many times with these athletes, they have people managing their money. These people have no care in the world for them, spend it recklessly, make reckless investments, and these guys at the end of their career wind up broke. Like I said, nothing like a mother's love who genuinely wants the best for you. No ulterior motives, no funny style stuff, just wants the best and wants you to make the wisest and smartest decisions with this life-changing type of money. Shout out to moms.
No, look, I need 45 minutes. And he has to come in, and then I just knock everything out.
And the pros and cons of that are what?
The cons are, sometimes when I go take trips with my friends, and it's only probably once, maybe twice a year, but we'll go out LA, Vegas, or Miami, and she'll call me in the morning. She'll be like, "Who is Mr. Jones?" She's like, "Why did you give him $12,000? I'm like, "Mom, we had a good time last night." She's like, "I'm just making sure this was you, and somebody didn't take your card."
Jayson likes nice things. He likes nice watches. Technically, I can't say no, right? But I'm the one that processes all the wires and gets receipts and then insures everything and stuff like that. So he's always coming. I can tell on his face when he walks in my office that there's about to be a wire.
Oh, really?
It's just this expression on his face, and I know exactly what it means that I need to send.
That's her son. She know him. She know him inside and out. Again, like I said, it's very important to have somebody on your team that wants to see you win. Like I said, no ulterior motives. That's very important. Very few people have that. Like I said, they get money, and all of a sudden they got all these new people coming around that they never known from a can of paint that want to manage their money and want them to invest their money in all types of things.
Someone some money, he's already picked something out. And when he tells me sometime the price, I'm like, "What does this watch do?" And he's like, "But it's not the Celtic money." And that's his little running joke.
So we had a deal before I got drafted that I couldn't spend the money I make from the Celtics, that we had to live off endorsements. And her and my accountant agreed. They didn't know that I would make, as much as I did off the court. So in my mind, I got to spend that money.
Very smart young man. Like I said, I think Jayson Tatum is only 25, 26 years old. So the fact that he's only spending his endorsement money and not touching his NBA money at all is very, very smart. I think as an NFL player, Richest did something similar. Like I said, lived off his endorsement money and did not touch his actual playing earnings. So like I said, Jayson Tatum, I believe, just signed the richest deal in NBA history. 5 years, $315 million. So
all that money, it gotta go. I gotta enjoy it. At first it was, we would have certain talks, but it's in moderation now.
I'm always going to be his mom, but he's still a grown man, and my job is to give him as much information as possible so he can make informed decisions. But I also tell them all the time, like, if you make a decision and it turns out not to be, the best one, or things don't turn out the way they, we'll figure that out too. I'll help you clean it up, and we're gonna hold our head high. We're gonna learn whatever lesson needs to be learned, and we're gonna move on to the next thing.
How do you think your upbringing impacted how you manage your money?
Like I said, he got somebody that has his back, thick or thin, and genuinely wants to see him win. Like I said, man, if so many more athletes had a mom, or not even a mom, just someone like this in their corner that genuinely wanted to see them win, we would see a lot less cases where these guys get to the end of their career and you find out they suing their accountant, they suing their business partner because they mismanaged their funds.
And I was in high school 6 years ago, right? So for most of my life, I didn't have money. I didn't have a investment account, checking account, a credit card. So I know what it's like to struggle and not have. I remember like when I first started getting checks, like being able to go fill my cars up, right? I would like call my mom, be like, Mom, how much money is on this debit card? She'd be like, all right, it's $15. That's how much you got. And though I could fill my tank up so I could get to school and back and don't make any stops, because, that tank had to last me for the week. And so like, I could just go to the gas station and get gas whenever. Like I remember when I couldn't do that, or going to CVS and buying 10 bottles of soap when we used to have to buy one, and like this had to kind of last us for a while. Like little things like that, like we kind of laugh at. It was like, I remember those days.
He remembered the days that he didn't have money, and now that he has enough money to really buy anything, I mean, he can imagine he still stays disciplined. That's the key. Still staying disciplined, staying to a budget, and not going overboard, and remembering like, man, I remember the days when I didn't have it. We had to be on a budget. I never want to go back there. So I'm gonna make sure I manage my money properly so that never happens again.
I think we just have a different level of appreciation, and
That's a good word you used there, appreciation.
in some ways it hindered because there's things that are very new to us now, even from like investing or, different levels of assets, and never had that. I've never even had an extra $100 a month to put away in investments or savings. So in some ways we had to learn a lot. But I think for the most part, just we're not that far removed from living check to checks, and he knows what he never wants to go back to. So
Your dad, tell about playing him one-on-one in 8th grade and how the rules changed after you beat him.
Yeah, so my dad was like my trainer, coach growing up. Kind of put the ball in my crib. He played basketball at CBC, went to SLU, played overseas. My dad's tall, 6'6", 230, 240. And it wasn't until 8th grade that I finally ever beat him in one-on-one.
And what's that feeling when it happens?
It was the best feeling ever, because this was the person that introduced me to basketball. Like he has as much to do with anything as why I'm here, from a competitive standpoint and pushing me to be, the best player I could be. Neither one of my parents ever were soft or took it easy on me. Like they were extremely tough on me, and kind of pushed the limit sometimes.
I mean, that toughness probably, like I said, is paying dividends today. I mean, you got to be tough to be in the NBA, man, especially to be on the level Jayson Tatum is. Like I said, very, very few people make it to that level. And I mean, you got to you got to be definitely mentally tough to play on that level. I mean, we've seen so many NBA players come into the league, so much high expectations, and being unable to deliver at that level. Like I said, the pressure is immense.
But I wouldn't change it, because it was what I needed to get to this point.
Your best friend Brandon, interestingly, told me in his words that you actually hated having your dad as coach earlier in life. Why?
Because it kind of put a strain on our relationship. I feel like I missed out on a father-son relationship. Like me and my dad only ever went to games or practice and to get haircuts. Like we didn't go to amusement parks. We didn't go to picnics or fishing or really have father-son talks.
You hear this story a lot with a lot of high level athletes and also high level entertainers. It actually, him saying it, actually, the first thought that popped into my mind was Michael Jackson. And Michael Jackson talked about his father and how hard and how strict he was on him with, staying disciplined and the dance routines and practicing and waking up early. It sounds like something similar here with Jayson. Like his dad, like I said, played basketball professionally overseas and was very hard on him and very tough. And sometimes, it's these fathers, they know what it takes to make it on that high level. Anything you want to do on such a high level basketball entertainment, you got to have extreme focus and you got to be extremely tough mentally. And sometimes that can be tough for you as a child because you don't understand that, and you don't see the bigger picture. But I mean, like I said, his dad probably played a very important part in him becoming the man that he is today and the basketball player that we see today on television.
Because it was just all basketball. He was extremely tough on me, like cussed me out in front of everybody, embarrass me, humiliate me, throw the ball at me, just because he wanted, in his eyes, he wanted me to be the toughest. He wanted me to be the best. And
he wanted you to have that dog in you, man, that fight, that dog.
That was his way of, like, if he made me upset, I would play better. And in a sense, I did, right? I would get so upset, I would get so angry that I would play better.
I was told one time you're in the locker room, he pins you up against the locker, holding you up by the underarms, you're crying and he's calling you bitch.
I was scared of him, and he would like grab me by my shirt and pin me up against the wall and cuss me out in front of everybody, and I would be bawling, like crying, and call me out my name. But then I would come out at halftime and I would outscore the rest of the team and we would win. So in his mind,
he knew how to push certain buttons to try to bring the best out of you. I mean, like I said, it sounds kind of harsh, but he knew his son.
Like he needed to push my buttons to get me to a certain point.
As a parent at that time, how would you explain it to him?
It was frustrating. We didn't see eye to eye a lot on some of the ways that he handled Jayson as a coach, but I would just try to tell him, like he's a competitor, he wants to win, he wants you to be the best version of you. And I mean, I'm hard on him as well, but when I do it, we're at home and but when he does it, it's on the middle of the floor in front of the entire gym.
And I felt like he didn't like me as a kid because he was so mean to me. Of course he did, but as a kid, I couldn't separate coach and dad. Like they were just one. Like he would always tell me I was soft, I wasn't gonna make it, I wasn't gonna be nothing. And he would take it to the extreme. But part of me working out at 5:30 in the morning was because, I wanted to prove him wrong and things like that. And he was so like tough on me, which I appreciate because I wouldn't be here if he wasn't, right?
I touched on it earlier. Like I said, his dad was trying to build that mental toughness. Like I said, you're not gonna be able to play on the NBA, especially at the level, superstar level that he is on, without having that mental toughness, man. You can't be soft. You gotta be mentally strong. Like that's what his dad was trying to prepare him for. Especially, like I said, his dad having that background and playing professionally overseas. He knew what his son needed to get to that next level.
But I do miss that, like, I didn't have that real father-son relationship. And looking back on it, it's hard to say, like, would I change it? Because my life might be different. So it's like, no. But it's like, there are things that I missed out on as a kid.
And I think there was probably some other things going on, just from things that he was wanting from Justin. And if you're not getting that, but you're also getting, him yelling or whatever because of the game, because you're not playing defense or you're not hustling, I just don't think it was a good situation for him.
And so your dad was head coach at CBC, you obviously went to Chaminade. How about the first time you played his team?
Sophomore year, we played at Chaminade. And I remember running out of the locker room, seeing my dad on the sideline, and I remember it was like, it was one of the weirdest feelings from the standpoint of like the person I look up to, the person that taught me how to play basketball, the man I wanted to like kind of be like.
Yeah, that's definitely different. The man that showed you everything about the game. Now you going against and competing them, and like you said, and as a coach of the other team, he's telling them everything possible to defeat you. This is his weakness. He can't go. He can't do this. He can't go left. He can't do this. Play him this way. When he come off the baseline, do this. And that's got to be tough, especially like I said, you still young, and you still developing.
Is on the opposite sideline trying to stop me.
And you actually heard him yelling to, the people on his team about like your weaknesses.
He was
right?
coaching, like he was trying to stop me. Like, I didn't play well, and they beat us. I just couldn't focus, and I couldn't understand or comprehend that. Like,
Again, building that mental toughness.
my dad didn't want me to do well tonight, but he was just coaching his team. I didn't like that feeling, but I didn't like losing to him even more. So that was the only time I ever lost to him.
I was going to say there were 7 subsequent times you guys played.
That was. I hated losing to him more than the thought of him not wanting me to play well. So I made it a point to never lose to him again, and I never ever lost to him again.
Why do you think he wasn't around as much growing up, or why you didn't have a room in his house?
Just because he didn't have the best example growing up, right? His dad wasn't around. He didn't necessarily know how to be a father.
How do you think that has impacted you as a parent?
When I was growing up, even when I was a kid, I always saw my friends with their dad, and how their relationship was bigger than basketball, and they're bigger than sports, and how they were closer. And I always said I wanted to have a kid. And I was like, if I ever have a son, I'm gonna make sure that like we are best friends, because I wanted what I didn't have, in a sense.
I want to run through a few basketball folks who've, notable figures or played significant roles in your life. The first one being Coach K. It's
Like I said, we're gonna stop it here, but this is a great interview. I'm gonna leave the link. I'm gonna leave the link in the description to the full interview. But let me know what you think. Like I said, mainly we wanted to touch on Jayson Tatum and how his mother is his manager. She manages all his finances, and like I said, and how they're being very strategic on preserving generational wealth, only living off his endorsement money. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.